That's our bonus episode theme song. Every time you get a bonus episode like this, you can hear that same song.
Are they though?
Yes, but this week's bonus episode is going to be our full season review of The Last of Us. We gave you a review of episode 1, so if you missed that, go back and check that because we are not going to repeat the fact that I haven't ever played the game, and we won't go into that whole spiel that I went into in that first episode. So go check that out. Circle back here, and we're gonna hop in full spoilers, just so you know. I mean, if you're
full send,
we're gonna full send this bitch. My favorite part was when Ellie shot Joel in the back of the head. That was pretty metal. Not gonna lie.
I actually have so much I could say.
Then you start us off, Mr. Anthony.
Okay. Starting off, I'm going to compare a lot of it to the game just because it's like scene for scene, right? And I love the side stories with Riley and with Sam and what's his name? Sam and Henry and Bill and whatever his name is, Bill and Frank. I love those side stories, but and I said this since episode 1, and I probably said it in the review too, I was afraid that it would take away. That means there's only 6 episodes to do everything else in between. Well, really 5, because the last episode doesn't even count. So in 5 episodes, they have to forge that bond between Joel and Ellie. And I think they did really good, but I don't think they did good enough for what's upcoming in season 2. Does that make sense?
It depends where they pick it up in season 2.
If you know where it's going from the first game, then it's fine. But I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I just feel like they didn't. It just felt like the bond wasn't there enough, because a lot does happen between the two of them, good and bad. Like later on. But
like I said, I think it really depends on where they pick it up, because they could, pick it up, since they said they're breaking up the second game into 2 seasons. They have plenty of time where they could pick up episode 1, not maybe jump right into where the game started, and maybe give you a little bit before that, as a catching up thing.
I think the first episode would definitely won't jump straight into it, but I don't know. I just feel like I didn't feel as connected with Joel and Ellie as a relationship, or as father and daughter type, as I did in the game. By the end of the game, then
you're really not supposed to. Though they've always established that's not his daughter. She tells him that all the time.
Well, no, you know what I mean, though. You're
dynamic.
I'm talking about the relationship that they have. Yeah,
I thought you could feel it really, really clearly in the last 2 episodes. I feel like the last 2 episodes, you could really feel that shift in trust between the two, to where they're 100% all in with each other. And I feel like the last 2 episodes did a really, really great job of showing that amplification of their relationship. I think you could see it in Joel's willingness to be more open with her, and I think that alone was enough to show it.
Especially that last episode in the hospital, I think it did a lot better job than the game, showing just how connected he was with Ellie and how much he cared about her through his emotions. And I mean, like I've already said to you, Anthony, is I did feel like the last episode was pretty rushed, to be honest, through the hospital and stuff. But then again, that was all real gameplay, so I don't know what more you would ask them to do.
I agree.
I thought it.
I want to know your thoughts on the whole last episode, Edward. What'd you think?
I also felt like it was rushed, but the only part I felt was rushed was the way they got to the hospital. I feel like if there was a whole a reunion scene between what's her face Marlene. Yeah, I feel like watching Marlene and Ellie's interaction when they get closer, seeing them interact and then have that slow build up into realizing what it was, and that realization would have been a lot more impactful than him just waking up and being like, oh shit, I gotta go. I
But
feel like that was the issue.
what do you think of the fact that he just went in guns blazing,
That
killing
shit was
everyone?
fucking
That's what he did in the game.
badass as fuck, dude. That was crazy as shit, and I 100% like you could feel the intensity there. Like he was zoned out. Well, I guess zoned in, really. Like he knew his mission. He knew what the fuck he was going to do, and no one was going to stop him. And I feel like that scene right there also helped show how much love he had for like in the end.
So it's funny because when I first got to that scene in the game, I thought the same thing. And then once I played the second game, it really goes back to that hospital a lot in the second game. It refers back to it. And in the second game, you really come to realize like Joel's not a good person. Like Joel is one of the bad guys, you know, because all the doctors, all the just the workers, they're all like innocent, you know?
Well, I mean, he only killed the people that
And
were shooting guns at him in the show.
no, he went in into the room where she was getting operated on, and they were all like please don't, and he killed every single one
Not
of
in the
them.
show. He only killed that head. He only
Yeah.
killed the doctor.
He only killed the head doctor.
Oh, the head doctor, but still, even then,
Well, yeah, because the doctor was like, "I'm not going to let you do it," and pulled a knife on him.
But
I mean, really, he's a villain to the world because he prevented the cure. I get that, but like in the small scale terms, I don't think he did anything out of line.
personally, I think, or think about Marlene too. He killed Marlene cold
It
blooded.
wasn't cold blooded. He knew exactly what the fuck was going to happen if he let her walk.
But that's like
You're not diving.
that
You're diving into a completely different question. You're not diving into review. You're diving into a completely different question of whether it was justified or not, whether Joel should have done it or not.
that's fair.
And I can go into a whole different spiel about that, but we're overall as a show. My thoughts. Everyone loves the Bill and Frank episode. I enjoyed it as an episode of TV. However,
Don't
overall
start.
into the main story, especially like in the end, it didn't bond Ellie with Joel at all. They essentially all they got was a truck out of it that got crashed in the next episode. It was a waste of an episode that they could have used to have a 2-episode hospital scene, hospital arc at the end, which I feel like would have been a little bit nicer. Or they could have replaced it with anything, or just done it as a bonus episode, and it would have been fine. I feel like if they would have made,
even say anything.
I feel like if it would have impacted Joel or Ellie a little bit more, it would have been fine. But it really didn't in any meaningful way. So I feel like that was a waste of an episode. But after that, they just kind of hit the ground running.
It's not a waste when you look at the overall theme of the show, and that's what's so good about the show is it encapsulates how an apocalypse would. When an apocalypse would happen, it's not all good sunshine and rainbows. It's literally tragedy every corner. Everyone's trying to survive. There's no good guy in this world.
Yeah, it's okay to.
But out of every, let me finish. But out of every single thing we've seen that was bad throughout the whole show, that one episode, there was a little bit of hope. There was a little bit of light. There was still tragedy, but there was beauty in the tragedy.
Yeah, that's cool, and I understand it. And thematically, yeah, sure, that works. But overall, as a story of the show, it did nothing for Joel or Ellie. If anything, it took that hope away from them. So, I mean, ultimately, it was a waste of time for Joel and Ellie and their adventure. And that's why I said it would work really well as a bonus episode that shows you a side of the world that we haven't seen. But as part of the main show that is supposed to focus around the relationship between Joel and Ellie and their adventure and survival, it doesn't do shit for that.
I don't feel like arguing. I'm not going to say anything.
I can see both of your sides, and it's just hard because I feel repetitive. I feel like I'm always saying this, but it's just they didn't have a whole lot of time to establish everything. Right? The game is what? Probably like 50 hours or something crazy. Well, I guess the show is too. But regardless, it's just hard to get the same feelings from the game and into the show. And I think that's why they had the entire episode on Bill and Frank, is because they didn't have any other time throughout the rest of the show to really build on that. So they had to take the whole episode to show like what Noah was saying.
I don't think they needed to do it for the whole show. Like if they would have spent more time with Joel and Ellie interacting with them, and then like let's say as Joel and Ellie leave after interacting, have this really hopeful interaction, and then we see the ending after they leave. I feel like that would have been way more impactful. Like we get to see their background, and like it's cutting back and forth between their real life interaction and their pre-story, and then they leave. And let's say like one day on the radio they hear like the fucking warning signal, and that's how they know like they're dead. Like say they find out through that way.
Yeah.
Every other like, but we get to see their interaction be super hopeful, and then them die anyways. So we still get that feeling of hope and tragedy and heartbreak. We still get the same emotion, but we also get to see it impact them more because they just interacted with them.
That's I'll agree with that.
I get that the show didn't have like a huge budget or anything, but my issues there wasn't. I don't expect it to be like a Walking Dead where there's like a shitload of zombies everywhere or infected everywhere. But I feel like we could have seen more. I feel like we didn't get a whole. And I get that the show really focused on the humans being the real villains in the world where the apocalypse happens. But I feel like they could have still shown the infected a little bit more and had them be a bigger deal. I feel like the first 2 episodes, they set them up to be this really big thing that they're all over. It's really annoying having to get through them, but in the end, really, it didn't play into the whole story too much outside of Henry and Sam. Which
they came out and said there's going to be more in season 2, but to be honest with you, the second game focuses way more on humans than ever. So I don't know.
And that kind of confuses. It doesn't confuse me. I get it. Like it was probably a budget thing the first time around, but I was still kind of disappointed to go into I know they don't call them zombies, but into like almost like an apocalypse show based around a virus that overtakes people's brains, and we don't get to see that nearly as much.
Especially like if we were to get to see it more in the coming seasons, then that would be okay. But I think we're going to see even less of it later.
See, and I would think that shows do the opposite, where they show you this big thing at first because it's like the big thing in the world. So you get a feel for it, and then they start playing to the humans after, because you can only do so much with zombies. So it just kind of threw me off a bit.
I also feel like,
but overall, this was probably one of the best runs on TV that I've seen in a really, really long time.
That's good.
Every episode, like even though I didn't enjoy Bill and Frank's episode into the story as a whole, it fit in the world beautifully. It was a beautiful piece of storytelling. The whole series was really tragic and poetic in every way, shape, form, or fashion, and it forms a really cohesive world that you feel, and like it hurts your emotions and feelings. It makes you think, and that's all you can really ask for in like a really heavily emotional show like this. I feel like it was
interconnected.
Perfect.
Everything's interconnected, and every single episode feels like it's its own story. I feel like that's what I love most about Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann, the way they crafted the story in the writer's room, and just how they adapted it from game to screen was also pretty surreal. Like it was almost like to a T, but they added so much more background and so much more detail to the already like simple but complex story. Like they just added so many different details that hardcore fans alike, but also casual fans could even notice. Like it was just like an incredible run for them, and I feel like it's in good hands. They're gonna do a really good job with season 2. It's gonna be mixed reviews in season 2 for certain reasons, but at the same time, this season was a really, like Edward said, a really good run in television, and Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey did an incredible job with the characters that they portrayed, and they adapted it well enough that these characters are their very own now.
Yeah, and I get that Bella Ramsey doesn't look almost anything like Ellie in the game, but her acting was fucking phenomenal throughout the entire show. Like you could feel her pain, you could feel her heartbreak, you could feel like everything that she went through, and how it changed her, and it was really like not nice to see, but it was really like excellent storytelling.
With that being said, Noah, do you still think Bella Ramsey is going to portray like a perfect Ellie in season 2 and
Yes.
3?
I really do. I think you've already seen shades and hints of that through the last 2 episodes, and just you see exactly the point where she turns and she's turning into season 2 Ellie. Just that, I mean, a little
Her
bit of spoilers,
snapping
but
point.
just snapping, ruthless. She'll be very vengeful in the new season, and she's really gonna. I think she's really gonna pull it off. Obviously, she might not like look like older Ellie, and there's obviously like a height difference, but I mean, work your movie magic, they'll fix it. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's bad to say, but I feel like looks is a big part of it because Bella Ramsey looks really young, and I think she still will a year from now or 2 or however long when the show comes out. But in the game, Ellie is portrayed as like her own independent person in a way, like she's strong, like she's not a kid anymore,
Yeah.
And so when Bella Ramsey's going to be trying to portray that, but she still looks young, she still looks like a kid, I feel like it's just going to throw me off. I mean, we'll see.
I
Maybe
think
not,
it'll be okay.
but
Anthony's been a Bella Ramsey hater from day one, though.
I have. But she did amazing in season 1, like perfect. I couldn't have asked for anything better.
Yeah,
I think it was great. I think she did great. Definitely enough to win some awards.
What I do have one more concern. It frustrated me that the bloaters weren't portrayed more.
No, they're
Bloater,
mega.
Bloater had like a minute of screen time, not even maybe like.
Well, dude, they're
minute.
mega bosses in the game, bro. So in a show like that, you got to see the stakes of it. And when you see that thing, and when it came on screen, it's just one of those things you do not want to fuck with. Like that's how it's supposed to look. Like you just don't want to even go near it, bro. And so
they didn't even fucking kill it. They didn't even bother trying to kill it. They were just like, "Oh, fuck that."
Yeah,
but it killed like 2-3 people, and then that was it for the whole show. For the entire.
Well, like I said, they're rare though.
Season.
They're incredibly
There's maybe
rare.
like 4 infected kills in general in the entire show. Like outside of the first episode where it starts everything off, like there's maybe like 3 on screen that actually did anything.
Yeah.
But HBO got another. HBO's got all the good shows.
Dude, HBO be in their fucking bag, dude. I only like a hope in my lifetime to write something like a quarter as good as what that show was.
What would y'all rate it?
As a whole, I
Absolutely.
will give it a 9.5.
Me too. I was gonna give it a 9.5.
I'm giving it a 9.
Wow,
That's fair.
I thought you would be a 9.5 with this. Noah, you want to explain?
No, there's still aspects, and I know it's an adaptation, of course, but there's still aspects of the game that just through their acting and through their storytelling, just like just minor things they changed and stuff that I just
so yours
didn't
is
really
off
like.
of the game. Okay,
A little bit, yes.
okay. So no, Anthony, would you say you based your opinion on the game as well, or more of as a show?
Well, I didn't base mine on the game, like the whole time.
No, like, yeah, I know, but I'm saying like that factored into your opinion in the end.
Yes, it did.
Did it factor into yours at all, Anthony?
Not really. I think the reason I didn't give it a 10 is because of the con that you said is I wanted more infected screen time.
And I guess in a way, this isn't really like fair to critique either, but like because it's a video game and you're there for like 20 plus hours with these characters, but I just felt a lot more attached to them in the game than I did in the show.
I agree. Yeah. I feel like the show was really, really short. Like, I know it had a lot of runtime because each episode was like an hour and a half. Like, they're almost their own movies, but it still felt like a really short series, which I guess is a good thing that it makes me want to watch more. But honestly, I feel like the ending wasn't super satisfying to me.
It's not supposed to be.
I know it's not supposed to be, but like, every episode, like some shitty bad thing happens. I feel like even at the end of this one, it just kind of felt me like, okay, cool.
In a way, it's supposed to make you feel empty. Like that wasn't
Yeah,
right.
that's-
Yeah.
Well, no, it felt more of like that was the finale. What the fuck? Like nothing fucking happened. That's what it felt like to me. It was more of like, oh, that was the finale.
Yeah,
Okay, I guess. Because it didn't make it feel grandiose. Like it felt like every other
They
one-off
could have put
episode.
more stress on what happened,
What?
but
But it's
Was-
still a
see-
9.5 for me. I feel like
Save that.
episode by episode, I feel like it was either a 9 or a 9.5 for each episode, storytelling wise. This is the best video game adaptation to date by far. It's not even close. And I'm really excited to see what happens in the next seasons because I still haven't played the games, and apparently it gets fucking shit hits the fan like 80 times as bad. So
yeah.
I already wanted to kill myself after I saw the Henry and Sam episode. So I'm sure I'm gonna hate my life watching season 2 and 3. So
It's gonna be hard.
But
yeah, I will say the hardest moment to watch was watching Henry have to kill Sam and then take himself out. Like that was like
Absolutely.
out of everything in the show, I guess because I have little siblings, that was the one that I was like, uh. And I knew it was going to happen. Like the whole episode, I was like, the kid's going to die. He's too cool. But then the way they did it made it even worse. And I was like, oh man, come on, dude.
You learn to be numb after a while in that world. Expect
They have to
the
be.
worst. Expect the worst in everything.
All right. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, have a great night, day, afternoon, whatever time of day you're listening to this. And make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Check out our YouTube. Check out our full-length podcast because this is like a bonus little side thing. And well, as always, just, check out our merch. Help us live the dream. Perform. If you buy our merch, I promise you we will come up with a Last of Us scale show and release it for YouTube for free.
My gosh.
Just buy our fucking merch, all right? Do you hear me? I am forcing you to buy it. This is a hostile takeover.
This is a threat.
It's not a threat for all legal purposes. It is a invitation.
No, it is a threat.
All right, good night.
Red